flight home last
Good. Good. Watch the tape, talk to the coaches, start on Seattle.
What do you think the biggest difference was offensively in the red zone from the first half to the second half?
Yeah, I'm always going to say, execution, players making plays, you know what I mean? And they showed a little bit of what they were going to start doing, you know what I mean? So Drew he got to some different things. It's kind of that cat and mouse game. If they do this, here's what I like. If they end up doing this, here's what I like. So, but, I thought we ran it a couple times in there, and I thought Kyler made some big-time throws. Some receivers made some big-time catches. So that was good.
Well, first of all, it was the GMAC Bowl.
There you go. The GMAC Bowl. That's right.
The offensive line, you've talked about their progress all
Yeah.
year long, but
Yeah.
it just feels like they've quietly really gelled in a lot of ways
Yeah.
and gotten you to where you needed to be. What can you say about that group in terms of where they've gone from week one to where we are
Yeah,
now?
with some moving parts in there. You know what I mean? I mean, how many guys did we play? 5, 6, 7 guys yesterday, I think, Clayton and Cookie have done a great job with those guys. The O-line room, those guys are, I talk about team first, team, and then you. Typically, O-line rooms are very close-knit, tight. It's not about one guy. It's not about you. It's about the unit and the team. And so that's really a cool room to be around. But they've gotten better and better and better, and we've had to adjust some things too, with different quarterbacks in and out of the lineup, especially now with Kyler back in there. Just some different, we were talking about it today, some different techniques, some different schematics of it, what makes sense for us, different things like that. And then, every week you're playing a new front, and they have different front mechanics, different players, it's not just making a block, it's how they play those blocks, things like that. But they battle, man. That's what I love about them, and they're all in, and they've done a really good job of improving. And you saw yesterday, I mean, we ran the ball really well, and Kyler was really not in duress, and then so he's making a bunch of plays with his arm, but it starts up front. Every game that you play, if you handle the line of scrimmage, you got a chance to win.
Speaking of the offensive line, how serious is Humphrey's knee and what's the latest?
Still working through it. He does got a knee, but we're still working through that as we sit here today. I'll have an update on Wednesday for you guys.
Kyler mentioned in the second half getting into a groove and really attention to detail. How big was it in the second half? There was one play that resulted in negative yardage. And that was 1 yard.
Huge.
No penalties.
Yeah, no penalties. Stayed ahead of the sticks, no sacks, you know what I mean? So that's why every time you kind of look up, it's whether we're throwing it or running it, second and shorter, second and manageable. He converted some third downs too in there, but it's huge, you know what I mean? I mean, that's, playing offense at a high level, you want to be able to dictate on your terms, as much as you can during a game. They're going to knock you behind the sticks every once in a while, or, you're going to have to convert third downs or the red zone or whatever that is. But on mixed downs, can you play efficiently enough in the run and pass game with different play types too? Quick game. You saw it yesterday, quick game, boot, run, shot, all those different types. It's hard to defend. But it's hard to defend if you're executing it. So I thought they just did a really good job. It was a good plan from the coaching staff. Players, obviously, they executed. I thought they handled the different groups well. And then some of the unknowns with just 3 games to go off of, I thought they handled the unknowns extremely well. And so hats off to the coaches and players.
You've talked about how all the different running backs have each bring something different in that room. With a duo like Michael Carter and James Conner, for this upcoming game against Seattle, but also looking a little bit towards the future, what do you think their potential is?
Yeah, I mean, they're both good players, and Amari too. He didn't play as many snaps yesterday, but he has a critical role, what we ask him to do, especially for a rookie. He's got a lot on his plate, plus playing fourth down too. So I thought they were both excellent. Obviously, James, the running game goes through him. Then Mike came in and made some plays. He made some guys miss, had some explosive runs, had the touchdown catch, broke a tackle right in there. Yeah, he was a great acquisition. But that whole room, I expect those guys, when their number is called, to produce. And that's what they're doing.
We saw a photo of you hugging Michael Carter in the locker room. What has he added to the locker room?
Yeah, the guys, he has a lot of energy and juice to play football. He loves the game of football, and I love that about him. He's a competitor. He loves to practice. You know, you can't get him out of practice. He wants to take all the scout team reps, all the first team reps. He wants to practice. He's extremely intelligent. He's detailed in meetings. I mean, he's kind of the perfect fit for what we're doing. You know what I mean? We want guys to be team first, all ball. That's what he is.
When Gene was having the type of game that he had yesterday, and you obviously have the packages from the other guys, how do you balance, like, not, I guess, slowing down his momentum?
Yeah, that's a good question, Josh. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's elements of how the game's going and when you want to spot them and different things like that. But, you know, obviously he got more reps than anybody, but he was running well. You know what I mean? He's making a lot of plays for us, and so we're mindful of play counts with those guys and how many shots they're taking. You know. And then sometimes, too, you get in a series, or if you want to do it like that, we do it a couple different ways. I'm not going to get into that. But if you get in a series where, say, Michael's in or Amari's in and you go 3 and out, well, then, you know, it can get a little weird. So, but Autry does a good job with those guys. They all know everything, and they got to be ready to go. But they're prepped, and they made a bunch of plays.
James turning 29, which doesn't seem very
Young.
old at all, but NFL starts to get old. Knowing everything you know about him, the person, the player, physicality, style, how much can he still be doing what he's doing next year, or even beyond that?
Well, in my opinion, I don't look too much into the future because it makes me anxious, so I'm worried about Seattle. But here's what I know about him. You want to talk about, when you're outside of the white lines, what he does from a conditioning standpoint, from a recovery standpoint. I would call that whole bucket physiotherapeutic standpoint. There's nobody better. So if you think that certain guys start to, fall off because they get a little older, he'd be the one to delay it. I know that.
The new tight end, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
Travis.
Travis, yeah. So, hadn't been here that long.
Yeah.
What did you see in him?
Yeah, did a good job. Yeah, did a good job. Been here 2 weeks, never played a snap, go in and block Josh Sweat, yeah. Yeah, he did a good job. Yeah, he did. How many did he play? 19? 25. Yeah, he did a good job. They were excited about it. You know what I mean? Never know how a guy's going to respond first time in the game, all things like that. But this guy, it's another one, kind of like Michael Carter. Assimilates right into the program with everything that we're doing. You know what I mean? Smile on his face, loves to be out there, loves to practice, wants extra work, wearing Ben out, his coach. And he came in, did a good job. I honestly was a little, I wouldn't say concerned, but I have my eye on operationally. Is he going to be okay, out there? He was good. So I think, he did a really good job. Losing Jeff that's a big piece for us, And he stepped into that role and did extremely well.
Another piece that came midway through the season was Roy Lopez. How do you think he stepped up?
Awesome. I mean, starting at nose for us, you know what I mean? And, plays some different things. And he's a smart player, so we use his brains too, but he can anchor in there. He had a little bit of rush yesterday. He's battling in there. He's taking 4 hands on most of the time with some big dudes coming at him. And he stood his ground. He had good anchor. Made some plays, got some penetration at times. He's doing well.
You said after the game that he could definitely help that you could tell that you were in the room for 2 years with them and you know what they were running and everything. Now that's all done. How much did it help that you were there for 2 years?
I don't know if it helped any. I don't know. Same week of prep, but yeah, I mean, you guys know what I think about. That's a really good offense. You know what I mean? So we decided to play a certain way and. But they had a good day too. We had some good 3 and outs, and I told you guys I didn't love how the 2-minute went. Thought we could have done a better job there, but you hold the team to 24 points. It's a pretty good day, on defense for you. So hats off to the players because they made some plays.
When you huddle after this season with Monty and you go through exit interviews, I'm sure there's a ton of questions we could ask you about that next week.
Next week, yeah.
But since we're on the subject,
Who's on the subject? You are.
you're getting asked this question. You love guys who step up and deliver, maybe who aren't expectedly supposed to. That connection you've got your personality with a lot of these guys who are gonna be free agents, how much you gonna champion their cause to Monty when you huddle and break
Yeah,
down with
that's a good question, Bob. I would say that Monty and I talk about every person on the roster daily. And so we're really in lockstep of what we want to do. Now, he has to balance the future where I'm really not, but as far as my focus is on Seattle, you know what I mean? But we constantly, daily talk about the roster and the players. That's the lifeblood of the program. So I feel really good about, some guys that will have decisions to make that they want to be here. That's what I'll say.
so the connection you have with them.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we have created an environment of competition, and hopefully that the players know that they know that I have their best interest, and hopefully they know that we can make them a better player. So that's, to me, if you're a player, does the coach care about me, and can he make me better? And so I think we've, fostered an environment of that.
You look at everything in 1 week increments, right? But what can a win like that do? I know there's only 1 week left in the season. What can it do for a team?
I mean, it's funny. I don't know that, Josh. I was in there with both staffs today, all three staffs, and it's like, hey, after a loss, this is what we do. After a win, this is what we do. It's not much different, truthfully. So, it's about our process and how we go about it and improving, you know what I mean? So, and actually Drew said, you could talk to Drew about it tomorrow. It's the best thing in the NFL is when you lose doing that. The worst thing in the NFL is when you win doing that, because you don't really, you're not on that, you know what I mean? So our focus will be, hey, let's learn from what we had against the Philly and then get to Seattle. And I don't say that, like, we truly live that, because I think that's the way to be. So, and I honestly think the players appreciate that. So that's how we do it.
What do you think what do you attribute to Michael Wilson, and all of a sudden it started happening again?
Yeah,
In the
he
second
played
half
well.
after the.
Yeah, he played well.
early
Mhm.
4 catches.
Yeah, he's got good resilience. Yeah, he's got good resilience. I mean, that 4th and goal, the got to have it, I would call it. That was a huge play. He won. They brought a zero pressure. Kyler backpedaled out of there and threw it to him. But he made some big-time plays, you know what I mean? And Mike's going to be a big-time player for us. So it was good to see him. I mean, all the receivers, Dortch, Rondell had some touches, tight ends, the backs. Kyler distributed. Starts with the O-line like we talked about, because he was upright. Kyler put the ball where it should go. And that's why it looked really good yesterday.
You've always had great things to say about Buddha. What's
Yeah.
the one thing that you appreciate about him the most as a player and a leader?
As a two different, I would say, questions there. As a player, his versatility and his reliability and his toughness and his effort and his brain. So I just gave you about 5. As a leader, I think his attitude. The guy comes to work. He never has a bad day. Comes to work always wanting to improve and get better. And I would say the sign of a really good player for you is he elevates others around him, which is, since we've been here with him, that's what he's done. And not just the safeties or the back end. I'm talking about the linebackers and the D-line and the coaches. So that's a valuable piece to have.
How's Garrett doing?
Good. We'll see how it goes today. But he rolled an ankle. But he looks like he's going to be okay.
I know you mentioned after the game and heading into this entire week, you mentioned that it was just another game, and that was kind of just your focus with it. A lot of the players post-game said that they wanted to win for you and for Nick and for the guys coming back. To have that support from the guys in the locker room, knowing that, yes, they prepared like it was just another game, but they had you and Nick in mind. Was that
A little extra oomph. I would say it like everyone in that locker room had a little extra oomph for James going to Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So when you're in the league long enough, I do think there's some times that certain guys I don't, it means maybe a little bit more to them. You know what I mean? But the players know, like it's not about me, it's about them, and they knew that. They wanted to go. I think James said it. We wanted to make a trip, go to a playoff team fighting to be the 1 seed in our conference, and we wanted to go, swing our shot. So that's what we did, and they played well and got it done.
Do you think that Kyler was even maybe more detailed and laser focused than he normally is because he missed practice?
The Jordan flu game? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you get, I said that he came back and we're watching on a plane, and I said, don't think that you lit it up. Okay, I got it. You're practicing on Wednesday. You know what I mean? So and he laughed. He's like, I know I am. But no, I think he spent a lot of extra time. You know what I mean? Not extra time, just different ways to get caught up. That's the first time I didn't know how he was going to play, truthfully, because I've never been around him to say, hey, he hasn't practiced for 2 days. How's it going to go? You know what I mean? So, because when you have, experience with certain guys, you kind of have a feel of what's going to happen a little bit. And I honestly didn't know because it was the first time. So, but he's a gamer, man. He puts everything into it every week, just like all our guys do. And he went out and played well, and huge part of why we won that game.
It's clear he's special, right? That he's very good at what he does. What makes him so good, so elite, so special?
Boy, that take me too long. I think, everything that you want out of a quarterback: command, competitiveness. Then when you talk about the skill set, accuracy, decision making, arm talent. Then you go, when that doesn't happen, ability to extend plays. And he sees the game. He's never sped up. So he sees it, extremely fast, extremely quick. He's not sped up. And honestly, I think that it will improve as we move forward because he's 8 weeks into a system. So I think sky's the limit.
What goes through your head when you see Monty so amped up after a game?
He gets juiced up all the time, man. He's passionate just like the whole building is. You know what I mean? He knows what the players put into that to win a game. And like I said yesterday, it falls on me. We haven't won enough this year. But he's appreciative of their effort, their commitment, and their willingness to fight. You know what I mean? And that's the sign for him of, we assembled some people that will do that week in and week out, so that's a good sign.
You guys have been playing with Kyler back. Does this feel like a tale of two seasons? Like